Welcome to the Backpack Program for Adults. The Backpack for Adults is a human and spiritual formation course. We developed it in response to so many leaders of the Backpack for Young People telling us things like, I wish I had taken this program when I was young, or I wish there was a course like this for adults. Ultimately, it's important to know that this program builds resilience and confidence. The adults who have taken it by the third or the fourth lesson say things like, my thoughts are different now. I'm just happier. I don't worry as much, or I like myself and I like everybody else more. Or very movingly, I have hope and I laugh a lot more. My friends, we want these statements coming from you. You see, we know that we don't need to teach you what to think. And that would be actually an intrusion on your separateness. But we do know if we can help people to learn how to think, they generally land on the right conclusions about themselves, others, and God. Speaking of those three primary relationships, the course itself is broken into three parts: your relationship with yourself, your relationship with others, and your relationship with God. My friends, maybe you were like me and you were brought into a kind of a sin-based spirituality that taught you how to scan for what you were getting wrong, but didn't teach you to notice and celebrate what you were doing that was right. And even small things can be heroic. We may have become overcritical of ourselves and possibly overly critical about other people too. This can lead us to diminished hope and a feeling that life is too hard or that God is unreasonable. It can even lead us into ruminating, anxious, or depressive states. Part 1, looking at our relationship with ourselves, examines how and what we think about ourselves. Most likely, we don't get into our cars and expect them to drive us to work. We drive to work. We use our car to do it. But we do this with our brains. Nobody ever told us we were supposed to be directing our brains and selecting our thoughts. Through the latest neuroscience, we can show you how to rewire your thought patterns with an end goal of building hope and a state of being that calms the body and prompts creativity and happiness. In part 2, we examine our boundaries, amongst many other things. Now, do we know what our boundaries are and how to protect them, practically speaking? When someone crosses our boundaries, do we know how to respond? Are we crossing our own boundaries in our mind with catastrophic thinking? Can we recognize the response in ourselves, physically and mentally, when someone is in too close or intruding on us, physically, psychologically, or emotionally? My friends, these are crucial life skills. Possessing the ability to realistically identify healthy and unhealthy relationships is something we all need, particularly now. Ultimately, through the tools and the skills in this section, we can help you to create happier, more loving connections with the people around you. At the very least, your families. Who doesn't need good, happy, healthy relationships in their homes? Now, in part 3, we locate ourselves in relation to God. Again, maybe our formation was harsh, and for us, God felt either too remote or too close, almost like he had us under surveillance or that he was waiting to pounce on our mistakes. These distortions come from either an incomplete or an inaccurate formation. Many faiths talk about mercy, but it's not many people who actually feel this mercy. It's very human of us to focus on the negative. And we may have taken our relationship, for example, with our flawed human fathers and projected that onto God. We can undo these inaccuracies and learn how to view God more truthfully and realistically, and thus begin to relate to God in the way that He hopes, with trust and love with joy and peace. Finally, we will offer practical strategies for putting aside any past mistakes or sins and putting them into perspective, moving forward in freedom differently. We can show you how to drop into a deep contemplative state, which will improve mental and physical well-being and advance your understanding of yourself as a spiritual being, regardless of your religious beliefs. Whichever program you choose to begin with from Backpack Productions, you will find balanced and safe human and spiritual formation. Join us. I think you'll like our movement.
I've had the great blessing of being immersed in this program for many years now, in its development stages throughout the different forms of its pilot programs and implementation in parishes, in schools, in online fora, and through Zoom. I've had the blessing of also then being able to facilitate and lead a group through Zoom. And it's extremely effective, I have to say, and would testify to the many and myriad blessings that people receive through participating in this program in the online arena that is now available through us throughout the world. So if you're considering taking part in one of the Backpack programs and the only available way for you is online, do it. You will not miss out. In fact, you will still be abundantly blessed as if you are in a room with all the people who will be journeying with you through the program.